tall.
Yo, smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill. Yo, chill.
You look like you need to be taken care of, nigga. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene, nigga. You look like you need help. Tell your man 50 say you ousting something, yo.
Yo, Jim Jones really thought he could slick talk about 50 again like he didn't learn the first time. But Tony Yayo wasn't having it this round. He came through swinging with cold, hard receipts about Max B and stack bundles that had Harlem buzzing for all the wrong reasons. The streets lit up fast, and suddenly folks were asking, who's the real one here? The so-called Harlem boss, or the loyal soldier who never switched sides? See, this whole mess started when Jim sat down for a long talk with Memphis Bleek. What was supposed to be a chill convo turned into the spark that lit the fire.
Out of jail, what did 50 do? Yo, get him an apartment in Battery Park. I ain't sell a record to do nothing yet.
Where the fuck is Battery Park at?
That's right there by the Statue of Liberty.
Jim started getting deep in his feelings, riding that what if wave hard. What if Dipset stayed tight? What if old bonds didn't fall apart? You could literally feel the nostalgia and bitterness dripping through every word. And to make it worse, Memphis Bleek had already been bringing up Tony Yayo's name everywhere. Drink Champs, Shannon Sharp's show, you name it. That constant chatter got under Jim's skin big time, and it pushed him to finally clap back when Yayo's name came up again. Things were about to get messy. When Yayo's name finally came up in that Bleek interview, Jim couldn't hold it in anymore. He went personal. You could tell he'd been building up to it for hours, dropping little hints here and there, until boom. He finally let the shots off at the end. The timing was no accident either. Jim wanted that last word to sting. But trust, Tony Yayo wasn't caught off guard. He saw everything, and when he hit back, it was clean, cold, and calculated. Yayo didn't waste words, he dropped action. He went on IG and posted that classic Do It Right video featuring French Montana and Max B. And everybody knows Max B and Jim Jones had a long, messy feud back in the day that still echoes through Harlem. Yayo wasn't just posting for nostalgia, he was playing chess while Jim was still learning checkers. That move cut deep because Jim's whole image still leans heavy on the old We Fly High era, and that wave Max B helped shape. With that one post, Yayo reminded the world that some people move with loyalty and strategy, while others are still stuck chasing old grudges and missed money. That's the difference between G-Unit and Dipset right there. Yayo's been solid, backed by 50 through thick and thin. When he got out the joint, 50 made sure he had a place to stay, tours lined up, even trips around the world. That's not friendship, that's family. Proof that under 50's wing, loyalty hits different and lasts longer than clout ever could. Yayo took all that tension and flipped it right back on Jim, throwing heavy shade at his whole Harlem Protector image. But let's rewind to that Bleek interview for a second, cause that's where Jim opened another messy can of worms. He started clowning people's looks, talking money talk and doing his usual flex routine. But when Yayo stepped in with cold receipts, that energy didn't land the way Jim expected. It backfired badly. Yayo's move was smooth but sharp. He called Jim out for acting like a general when in reality he once went to 50 Cent begging for features and chances to shine. That hit hard because it flipped Jim's whole script. Suddenly, that self-made Harlem boss image looked more like a borrowed crown. And the internet didn't forget those old clips of Jim and 50 on stage acting cool, like they were brothers in arms. It completely clashes with the independent king persona Jim's trying to sell now. Then Yayo hit him with another truth bomb. He said Jim was too busy chasing short-term wins with 50 instead of holding down Dipset when it really mattered. That's the kind of decision that doesn't just fade away, it stains your legacy. But the knockout came when Yayo brought up Max B and stack bundles. That wasn't about clout, it was about real loyalty and loss. He even showed an old clip of stack bundles posing with a Porsche but still living in the projects, proving that looking rich ain't the same as being protected or supported. By mentioning Max and Stack, Yayo touched a nerve. He dragged the convo right into Jim's weakest spot, the loyalty he didn't show when his people needed him the most. Let's be real, this backdoor angle cuts deep. Jim Jones made serious money off the talent around him, but folks say he didn't exactly give back the way he should have. So when Tony Yayo dropped those names, things got ugly online fast. Because back in the day, Jim Jones and 50 Cent had completely different ways of running their crews and taking care of their people. See, it all comes down to where they came from, what they value, and how they handle business. 50's playbook was clear. He built his empire by stacking paper, protecting his team, and leveling everyone up. We're talking Bentleys, designer fits, safe homes. He made sure his people weren't just surviving, but thriving. Tony Yayo's the perfect example. He's stable, secure, and living proof that 50's loyalty came with real rewards. Money, safety, and solid respect. That's G-Unit power right there. But Jim Jones? He always moved more from the streets. Hands-on, gritty, loyal to the block. He's played every role. Hype man, security, manager, even director. Doing whatever it took to push Dipset to the top. He helped his people with money, studio sessions, and tour spots, but his loyalty was wrapped up in street codes and reputation, not business structure. That's why when Yayo threw Stack Bundles' name into the mix, it hit like a sledgehammer. Jim had given Stack chances and cash, but the man stayed tied to the projects, and that's where the pain lies. It showed that real loyalty in the streets doesn't always equal safety or success. And of course, the moment Jim started taunting Yayo, talking slick about how he leaned on 50 for help, 50 didn't waste a second. He jumped straight into the fire, ready to turn this drama into another headline just like only he can. 50 basically said what everyone had already been whispering. Jim's bitter because nobody ever held him down the way 50 holds down his people. That bond between 50 and Yayo runs deep. It's not some industry friendship. It's built on years of loyalty, shared history, and real brotherhood. They've built an empire together, and every move 50 makes reinforces that he's not just a boss, he's a protector. Anyone coming for his people is automatically stepping into his crossfire, and that's never a smart move. But to really understand why this cuts so hard, you gotta know the history. This tension between 50 and Jim Jones didn't start yesterday. It's got years behind it. It's tangled up in that old Dipset drama with Cameron right in the middle of it. Back around 2007, 50 publicly fired shots at Coke Records, the label Jim was signed to, calling it a graveyard for washed-up artists who'd lost their shine. That comment hit nerves instantly. Cam and Jim were furious, and the back and forth started flying. Diss tracks, interviews, and all-out shade wars. But see, 50 didn't just trade bars, he strategized like a pro. He played both Cam and Jim like pieces on a chessboard. While they were beefing, he went and brought Jim and Jules Santana on stage during his shows, right in the middle of his feud with Cam. That move wasn't just petty, it was genius. It made the drama public, messy, and impossible to ignore. And even after the flames cooled, 50 kept throwing jabs online, reminding everyone of the gap between their careers. He'd highlight how Jim's music slowed down, his numbers dipped, while 50 stayed stacking money, expanding businesses, and staying relevant. It's a pattern that's been playing out for years, and every time Jim tries to clap back, 50 reminds him who really runs the game. 50 Cent's a master at getting inside people's heads. He doesn't just beef, he psychs his rivals out. He uses trolling, calculated mind games, and massive platforms to make sure his enemies stay on the defensive, and Jim's been falling for it for years. Every time Jim tries to clap back, the difference is clear as day. 50's playing business chess while Jim's still playing street checkers. One's all about strategy and power moves, while the other's rooted in Harlem pride and old-school loyalty to Dipset. Over the years, this battle's been built through layers, on-stage moments, interviews, diss tracks, and non-stop social media digs. Each time, 50's come out looking like the boss with the plan, while Jim looks like he's fighting to keep his street cred and legacy alive. 50 doesn't just respond, he orchestrates. That's why his reputation as the ultimate strategist keeps growing, while Jim's narrative feels stuck in rewind. Now fast forward to this new round, Yayo versus Jim Jones. 50's reaction wasn't just about backing his boy Yayo. Nah, this was bigger. He wanted to remind everyone that his loyalty ain't performative. It's real, proven, and paid in full. When 50 stands behind someone, he does it with action, not just words. Meanwhile, Yayo showed exactly what that kind of loyalty earns. Stability, security, and respect that lasts decades. The man stayed solid since day one, and 50 made sure he's been rewarded for it. Jim, on the other hand, still moves like loyalty's about image, designer fits, loud tours, and flashy headlines. But when the smoke clears, one side's got empire-level unity, and the other's just chasing validation that money can't buy. All that flashy talk only takes you so far if your people don't really trust you. One moment that exposed everything was that Dipset versus, the LOX vs. battle. Tony Yayo pointed to it as solid proof that Jim Jones isn't the Harlem boss he's been bragging about. Fans saw it plain as day, the off energy, the missing chemistry, the lack of real respect within the crew. It made the gap between loyalty and image impossible to ignore. Jim can flex all day, rock every designer brand in the game, and flood social media with jewelry shots. But if your own circle doesn't stand behind you, that boss image collapses fast. And that's the hard truth Yayo's been teaching without even trying. His moves scream loyalty while Jim scream loneliness. And that's exactly why it hits Jim where it hurts the most. His reputation. Because when your crew stops believing in your leadership, the title of Harlem Boss doesn't mean much anymore. Jim tried to play it off, acting unbothered, saying, "I ain't beefing with washed rappers." But let's keep it real. That sounded more like a retreat than confidence. Fans weren't buying it either. The posts, the luxury fits, the jewelry, it all felt forced, like a man trying to flex through frustration. And lately, Jim's been wilding out with some bold statements. In June 2025, during the Joe and Jada podcast, he even claimed he's a better rapper than Nas. Yeah, you heard that right. He started comparing his Billboard numbers, gold and platinum plaques, even bragged about being more viral with the younger crowd like it was some scoreboard that proved he'd passed up a legend. But fans weren't impressed at all. They saw it as another desperate reach from a man trying to convince the world and maybe himself that he's still that guy. Predictably, the hip-hop world wasn't buying any of Jim's talk. Fans and artists went in hard, clowning him left and right while defending Nas as the lyrical legend and cultural icon he's always been. It got so bad that somebody even dropped a fake Nas track called 400 Bands, and people started joking that even a fake Nas sounded better than Jim Jones. Brutal. But this whole thing isn't just a random misstep, it's part of a pattern. Jim's been on a streak of wild provocations, from poking at Nas to jabbing at Yayo to reigniting old beef with 50 Cent. All of it looks like one big attempt to stay relevant, to grab a little spotlight and remind the culture he's still here. But the problem? It doesn't come off powerful, it comes off desperate, like he's tossing anything at the wall to see what sticks while his commercial shine slowly fades compared to his peers. He's been flooding Instagram with flexes, dripping in designer, flashing icy chains, flaunting jets, cars, luxury watches, the whole nine. But instead of awe, he's getting roasted. Every post that's supposed to scream Harlem King ends up turning into a meme, a comment section circus, or a full-blown drag fest. Even blogs that usually back him up have gone quiet. Nobody's defending him anymore. Meanwhile, Yayo and 50 are playing a whole different game. Yayo doesn't need to flex. His respect speaks for itself. Loyalty, consistency, and authenticity have done the talking for him for decades. And 50, he's the king of turning moments into money. Every viral jab becomes another bag, another win. Jim's problem is simple. His moves look reactive, not strategic. Instead of controlling the narrative, he's chasing it. Every flex reads like a cry for validation, a reminder that he used to be at the top. But the truth is, the culture's evolved, and they see straight through the act. These days, it's not even about the ice, the cars, or the designer drip anymore. Every viral stunt Jim Jones pulls is just another chance for fans to judge how relevant he really is. And right now, the verdict's looking rough. Back in the early 2000s, Jim was untouchable, riding high with Dipset, running the charts, repping Harlem like a king, and moving with a squad that had real energy and respect behind it. We Fly High wasn't just a track, it was a whole cultural wave. The swagger, the sound, the style, it defined an era. Jim's street cred back then was bulletproof. But fast forward to 2025, and that glow feels like ancient history. Now instead of building hits, Jim's leaning on beefs, loud interviews, and outrageous claims just to stay in the spotlight, like calling himself a better rapper than Nas and bragging about being more viral. That's not confidence, that's chaos. And the internet didn't let him slide for a second. They roasted him from every angle. See, Jim can post all the jewelry and flex as hard as he wants, but respect isn't bought, it's earned. And lately, fans see the cracks between who he was and who he's trying to be. They remember the Dipset glory days, but they also see the gap between past dominance and present-day struggle. That's why everything he does now comes off defensive, like he's chasing the ghost of his own prime. And the culture? Oh, they're ruthless. Every new attempt at relevance becomes instant meme material. Comment sections turn into roast battles, and even the blogs that used to have his back are staying silent. That silence speaks volumes. It's louder than any clapback he could post. Looking at Jim now, one thing's clear. Ego and old glory can't carry you forever. At some point, the hustle's gotta evolve, or you get left behind. When you lean too heavy on image, wild claims, and social media stunts just to stay relevant, the culture notices, and they call it out. Jim's antics might be entertaining to watch, sure, but behind all the showmanship, you can feel a man scrambling to stay in the game. Every flashy move, every jab online, every look at me moment feels like another attempt to hold on to fading credibility. So after all the receipts, the memes, and the non-stop roasting, the real question now is, what's next for Jim Jones? One thing's certain, Jim's not done making noise. You can bet he's plotting his next move right now. Maybe dropping surprise tracks, sparking fresh beef, or linking up with younger artists to tap into new audiences. But here's the twist, the game ain't what it used to be. Fans today don't just listen to the music, they watch everything. Every post, every IG story, every flex gets judged, not just for clout, but for consistency and character. Jim can throw on all the designer fits in the world, flash those chains, and talk about Dipset glory days till sunrise, but that's not what earns respect anymore. The culture wants loyalty, realness, and credibility, stuff you can't fake and definitely can't flex your way into. That's why Tony Yayo's calm, grounded energy hits so different. He's not chasing validation, he's got it already. He's consistent, respected, and proof that loyalty over time builds a legacy stronger than any viral moment. Every new stunt Jim pulls only fuels the comparison. And the people, they see it crystal clear. There's a difference between a man who's respected and one who's just trying to be remembered. So now the spotlight's on Jim. Will he flip the script, drop a hit so undeniable it shuts everybody up, maybe even pull off a comeback collab that shocks the culture? Or will he keep running the same playbook, loud claims, quick headlines, and risky clout moves until the Harlem Boss title turns into a punchline? That's the tension keeping everyone watching right now. Has Jim Jones still got one more big rise left in him, or has the fall off gone too far to fix? Guess we'll find out soon. Until then, make sure you hit subscribe to Juicy Reel, because when the next move drops, you already know we'll have the inside scoop first.